Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature. Today's topic, Explore English Nature in the Cotswolds, presented by NatHab Expedition Leader Andy Woodward. I'm your host, Rob Mess. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Take it away, Andy.
Thank you, Rob, and a very good evening to all of you. I'm sitting here in the Cotswolds. I've lived here for 25 years, and it's just a joy to be with you. I'm looking forward to meeting some of you, hopefully next Wednesday when we have our first tour of the year. So, absolutely delighted to have you on board. Just to dive straight in as to what we might expect during our trips this year. Just three very quick images at the bottom of the first screen here. On the right, there's quite a grand, stately home. Some guy called Charles lives there. King Charles was Prince of Wales, and we'll be visiting his gardens, which he created himself. The one in the middle is a beautiful little village called Snow's Hill. And for any of you who are old enough to remember Bridget Jones, that's the opening scene, but it was covered in snow. And on the other side there is the Broadway Tower overlooking the Vale of Evesham, which we will be visiting and walking from. So just can't wait to have you here. The weather is looking fairly good for the coming few days, so next week should be good. Right, let's dive straight in. The ugly guy in the picture there is me, and I worked the Cotswold tour with my colleague Harriet Guest. So those of you who are lucky enough to have Harriet, and some of you will be unlucky enough to have me, but I'm sure we'll still have a great time. And we have a great ops team who work with us, Amanda and Bella, who are lovely young ladies who take care of us. We're actually standing there in Painswick Church Gardens amongst the yew trees there, which we'll be visiting. But I won't spoil the story too much because it'll take away from the absolutely charming village it is in. Excuse me, I've got a bit of the winter lurgy, so excuse my dry throat. I know one of the difficult things when you arrive, you'll have come off an 8 to 10 hour flight into Heathrow, and I'm delighted to say that there will be a member of our team at the airport to welcome you all. I know some of these subjects are a little bit dry compared to the great adventure we're going to have on the tour, but some of you will be coming into Terminal 2. That generally tends to be the United Terminal. And I think I'm picking somebody up on Sunday morning. There's a big travel and information desk there, which is in the picture. So I will be standing there with a big sign. If you're coming into Terminal 3 at any point, our guide generally stands outside the W.H. Smith shop. And if you're coming into Terminal 4 or Terminal 5, as you come through the gate, there's a great big Costa Coffee. Used to be owned by Whitbread, one of the biggest breweries, but they gave up making beer and now they only make coffee. So they seem to think that's far more profitable. Well, that's a whole other story. But there'll be we will be wearing our uniforms, and there's another delightful picture of me wearing my uniform. But I won't guarantee what I'm wearing, but there'll be plenty of natural habitat branding, and worst case scenario, we'll give you a buzz. If anyone wants to send me a coffee order so that as you come out, I can be standing there with coffee, I'd be delighted to help. Right, let's move on. Getting around the Cotswolds, one of the joys of the Cotswolds is how delightfully small our roads are. So we won't be going in great big coaches. We have our little 8-seater minibuses, and we also have our 16-seaters. That means that you're all guaranteed a nice window view. Some of our roads are a little tiny. We don't need to wash our vans in the Cotswolds because we give them what's called a hedge wash, which means that as we go down the lanes, the branches do all the work for themselves. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But the picture with the NatHab van on my right, as you look at it, is in a place called Whiteton Woods. It's a new addition to our tour this year, and it's actually it's on the edge of Oxford, and it's managed by Oxford University, and they've been running research programs there since about 1942, I think it is. So there's nearly 82 years of research gone into that area. So it's going to be new, and we're going to have an expert guide looking after us when we're there. But generally, comfortable vans, not too crowded, and really ideal for seeing all over the walls and the hedges of the Cotswolds. So where are we? Well, the Cotswolds, if you can see the small green map, to the left-hand side of it, there's a little red marked area called the Cotswolds Area of Outstanding Natural Beauty. This map's a year old, and they've just changed the name to the Cotswolds Landscape. But basically, we're about 100 miles west of London, and the actual area itself is about 100 miles long and about 60 miles wide at its widest point. It's designated a park. You'll hear all this from me again coming up, but fundamentally, it's a protected area, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's basically, it's kind of nearly like a plateau that sort of it's like a slice of cheese. So on there's an escarpment on the west side, and it sort of goes down to a point on the east side. But we'll get right into all of that. The northernmost point is pretty much Stratford-on-Avon, Shakespeare's home, and we're actually coming up next week to not only St George's Day, but the 23rd of April is also Shakespeare's birthday, and it's Shakespeare's death day. So somehow he managed to die on his birthday. Maybe he's having a bit too much of a party, but who knows. In the south is Bath. We don't actually come down that far, but some of the points will be starting in Oxford on the east side, and we'll pretty much go east-west with a little bit to the north. But you can get a sense of which part of London it is. And I did a quick interpretation of where we go, so forgive me, but that is pretty much our route. Starting in Oxford, Burford, Bybury, down to Weston Burt on the bottom left there, which is near Highgrove, where the King is, up to Painswick. We'll go down to the river, which you can see in the big map, to the green map on the left, to the River Severn. River Severn has only the second highest tidal rate other than the Bay of Fundy in Canada. It goes up and down 27 feet 4 times a day, which is quite staggering. So that's our route. End of the week, we come back up to the Slaughters, Bourton, Broadway, the Tower I showed you earlier, Chipping Camden, and it's a very, very nice little route, and it's very different to a lot of the big animal type products that NatHab do, but this is a very cute little trip, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on it. So, weather. Well, we use this stuff called Celsius, and I know you guys use this thing called Fahrenheit. So there's three very simple rules that I like to sort of suggest people remember, and two of them are about reversing figures. So 16 is 61, 28 is 82, and 22 is 72. But as near as damn it. So there's something. We get some very, very nice summer days, not too hot, very, very little humidity. This time of year, April, it's a little cooler, but today the sun was out, and out of the wind, it was very, very pleasant. So yeah, it sort of averages. We have had these sort of slightly hotter summers in the last couple of years, but we managed to didn't impact us at all. So It's yeah, 70. It's in the 50s at night. In the summer, in the 40s at the moment, high 40s. But it's not unpleasant, and it's a great time of year to be here. The blossoms out, the flowers are out, so then the leaves are budding on the trees. So, and that will take us right through the summer and into the autumn. So I think we've got trips running right through into September, which will be lovely. So, whatever point you're joining us, that will be terrific. Let's move on. For those of you who happen to be here next week, this is the BBC's way of presenting the weather, which makes it look absolutely terrible. But there's probably like one shower during the day. But as you can see, it's going to be coolish, so 12 degrees Celsius. I couldn't get it into Fahrenheit, but it's going to be 16 is 61, as we remember. So it'll be kind of high 50s. So it'll be a little bit. It'll be not unpleasant, but it'll be nice, easy walking weather. And as you can see there, this time of year, for those of you who are into your geography, we sit on about the 52nd parallel up here. So it's remarkably temperate for how far north we are. So, excuse me. So next week, sunrise will be just before 6 a.m. and sunset will be nearly 8:30 in the evening. So lots of opportunity to see things all day. So what to wear? The group shop was people who came in September. There's me in a t-shirt in the middle of the summer, and there's my the scuzzy brown walking boots of mine in the middle. I think probably like many of you have been on lots of Nat Hab trips before, the thing to do is wear layers, 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 layers. And really, the one thing that probably helps the most in this part of the world is just a wind jacket, a light wind jacket, waterproof. Just takes if there is a bit of wind, it just takes the edge off. But like I said, it's pretty temperate. This time of year in the autumn, I'd recommend walking shoes, walking boots while we're out and about, just because it has been a bit muddy. We have had quite a wet winter. It's drying out pretty quick, but just protects you. In the summer, I will wear trainers pretty much, sports shoes all summer, comfortable things to walk in. So that's absolutely no problem at all. I've mentioned the waterproof and the wind jacket. You'll never be too far away from the bus or the vans, so if you want to bring extra socks and shoes just as we go from one environment to another, please feel free to do so. And we have a set of delightful Union Jack flag umbrellas, so if it does pitter patter with a bit of rain, then we do have umbrellas. But you may want to pop one of those sort of little collapsible umbrellas into a bag just in case. I do try and pray for good weather every day, but it's not always reciprocated. I'm sure some of you are big into your photography, so please bring your cameras. This is a very, very safe part of the world, so to be honest, we get there's no I'm not going to say there's no crime, but it's very rare occurrence. So feel free to bring all your cameras, and I also carry a small pair of binoculars with me everywhere we go, so you can just see the animals and the birds as we walk around, and it just makes life a little bit easier to see them. A lot of our birds are garden birds, so they are very, very small, so the binoculars really do help. The picture with the group is actually Hidcote Gardens, which is our last visit of the week. Has something for every time of the year, and is actually very beautiful. And the picture of me that looks like I'm on a boat is that we are, because one of the days we have a little tour up the Sharpness Canal and a little bit of lunch, so that's another little treat. So a nice day out. Bit of a dull slide here, but just to reassure you, Myself and the team members are all first aid qualified. If you do need anything in an emergency in terms of the pharmacy or anything like that, we are near towns and pharmacies on most days, and we can always run off and get things if needs be, or run you to a pharmacy. And actually, based on where we're going, although we're spending all the time in the countryside, we're actually never more than 30 miles from an emergency room, which compared to some of our African and other expeditions is very civilized. So no need to worry on a health perspective. As I'm sure most of you have been to the UK before, we do drive on the left. I'll explain why, or why you drive on the right during the week. We do have a little road crossing saying we teach the kids, which is look left, look right, look left again. Yeah, please be aware of cars coming from the wrong direction. It's our right direction, but it's the wrong direction. If any of you have particular allergies, food or otherwise, we'll have a quiet chat just at the beginning of the tour, and we'll make sure that all of your food concerns are taken care. And please, finally, just ask us if you need anything. We'll be only too happy to help. So yeah, we look forward to keeping you all safe and sound, dry and warm, and yeah, we're going to have a nice time. Very quickly, we're going to meet up in Oxford. Although it's not necessarily a natural habitat, it's such a beautiful city. I'm sure some of you have been before. I actually do some work in Oxford myself, and it is a stunningly beautiful city. We have a great character called Howard who leads some of our tours. He will be with some of you. The less fortunate ones will get me, and there's also some other lovely ladies from the Oxford Guild of Guiding who come and help us out. If you haven't been, I'm sure you've seen it on the television. Some of you may be Morse and Inspector Morse fans and have seen plenty of Oxford, but it is absolutely beautiful. We kick off at the Randolph Hotel around 1 o'clock on a Wednesday, and at whatever point you're coming in, it's a great place to start. The Randolph's a super hotel as well. I'm not going to go through this in too much detail because I don't know if Rob's going to share it with you at the end, but you've got your itineraries as you come in. But the Windrush Valley is beautiful walking valley with a river running through it. Bampton, for those of you who are Downton fans, we'll go and visit what is quite a remarkable church in Bampton, which they used in the films. Bybury was described as one of the most beautiful villages in England. We're going to dive through there, spend a little less time than we have previously, but it's still very beautiful. Chedworth, 2,000-year-old Roman villa. The falconry experience is absolutely stunning. One of my favourite parts of the week. Then we're going to be heading to Highgrove, King Charles's house. It's actually his private residence. He bought it in the 80s, I think. He's done a lot of beautiful amount of work there. Excuse my cough. And then we'll be heading to Westonbirt Arboretum, which is the national tree garden. It's absolutely remarkable as well. Following day, excuse me, just bear me a second. Right, sorry. Yeah, Slimbridge Wildland and Wetland Trust. Huge connection to the World Wildlife Fund, which we'll talk lots about while we're out and about, and very much part of our NatHab relationship with the World Wildlife Fund. We'll be visiting the famous Painswick Rococo Gardens. Next day we'll be visiting birds, we'll be visiting farms, we'll be visiting historical destinations. And then the last day we do a North Cotswold highlights with the Broadway Tower and the Hidcote Gardens that I mentioned just a moment ago, which was actually built by an American. So there you go. And then Wednesday to Wednesday, that will be our farewells. But we're going to cover an awful lot of ground, and we're going to eat an awful lot of food. So it's going to be fantastic. One of the interesting things about this tour is it does have a fair amount of walking, and I know each of you has been asked to mention, declare your fitness levels. I'm not going to sort of try and scare anybody. So most of the paths we walk are well worn and well trod, and if they're not actually gravel, they'll be very well trod, and occasionally we'll be going across a field. But it's all very easy. It's very easy paced, and we stop on a regular basis, particularly when we're with guides who will explain where and what we're doing. So the minimum distance, we will be in garden attractions and the arboretum attraction. And then on a slightly longer day, the first day is probably the longest, but it's also relatively flat. Over a sort of morning and an afternoon, we'll probably do about 5 miles, but very generally. But please let us know if you're going to struggle with that, because we can sort of meet, the vans can do pickups, at certain points. But conversely, if you're keen to really get some mileage in, we can start you off and meet you at the other end, and there'll be someone to look after you. There are a few ups and downs, not too many. It is pretty flat. We do provide walking poles if you need them. I know a lot of people bring their own, so if you have your own that you prefer, but otherwise we will have walking poles. And like I mentioned, there's a few half routes that we can build in. Just a few of the pictures. The pretty little pink house is part of Painswick Gardens, Painswick Rococo Gardens. Bottom right are the autumn colours of Westernburt. Top right is this really interesting sustainable farm called Farm Ed. Really interesting things going on there. And again, on top left, there's Highgrove Gardens from Prince Charles, and we'll have a few stories about that as well. The accommodation on the tour is lovely. We start off at the Minster Mill Hotel in Minster Lovell, which is the one with the river running just in front of it there. All these hotels are made out of the beautiful Cotswolds stone, and they're also mostly quite historic. So just bear in mind that whilst the accommodation is of a high standard, some of the rooms can be on the smaller side, but they're very well equipped, and that's because when they were built in the 16, 17, 1800s, room size wasn't always a priority. The second stop, so Minster Mill, we're there for 2 nights. Painswick Hotel Painswick, or the Calcott Spa in Tetbury, will be our second stop. Painswick is an absolutely stunning, beautiful little village. And the hotel is very, very nice. The Calcott Spa is also stunning. As the name sort of suggests, it does have a spa. In fact, all 3 of those hotels have spas attached. So we will try and make some time if you are inclined to a little massage or similar. So, and then finally, we end up at Lords of the Manor in Upper Slaughter, which was the original manor house of the village. Lords of the Manor was the first property outside of London to get a Michelin star, and was really at the forefront of the food to fork local produce revolution. And it's Hannah and her team there are absolutely lovely, and it's a beautiful place to stay. So that's a little upshot of where we're going to be staying. One of the things about this tour is you do not go hungry, and local produce is absolutely top of our priority. I'm sure all of you have heard of a good English breakfast. Top right, the funny black stuff in the middle is black pudding, which I hope you will all try at some point. Cotswolds is a big cheese making part of the world, so we have lots of local cheeses which we'll get to enjoy during our tour. Some of the lunches, the little porthole in the middle there is our Sharpness Canal tour, which has a picnic lunch provided. The young lady sitting front right is Amanda, who is one of our ops team, so she helps me out and make sure everything runs perfectly. The cakes are from the Aston Pottery Cafe, which again has even on day 2 when we go there, we're already suggesting you might want to share a lunch because they are monumental, and if you're still hungry, we'll get you more. And then all of the hotels have fine dining reputations, so that's just one of the images I picked up from Lords of the Manor. So we do have some lovely food on this trip, but we also get to walk it off as well. A few of our little friends we're gonna meet. The Cotswolds is a working environment, so there are lots of farm animals. For those of you coming in early season, it's lambing season, so lots of little lambs around, calves, foals, all sorts. It'll be absolutely lovely. Bottom of the middle there, hares we see very regularly. If you're driving with me, at any point I suddenly start pointing and shouting. And we also saw a barn owl sitting in a tree as well. So we do get our fair share of little animals. That's a roe deer on the bottom left, which are quite common. They run wild. The funny little thing in the middle at the top is called a muntjac. It's not an indigenous species to the UK, but they are all over the Cotswolds because a herd of them escaped from a safari park about 70 years ago, and now they're everywhere. But they are very cute, and they're a South African deer, but we will see them around. And we will see lots and lots of garden birds like the robin there, our bird walk, which is our dawn chorus bird walk, which is nice and early, and we come back for a really nice breakfast afterwards with Ed the Birdman. Is absolutely spectacular. I think we managed 28 different bird varieties on one of his walks this summer. Someone who is not in the picture is a hedgehog. Not because they're not there, it's because they're really difficult to see. The only one I saw last summer was when I was driving home after leaving one of my tours to go back to my hotel, and it was crossing the road in front of me, and you'll be pleased to know I missed it. If we are very lucky, we will see a hedgehog, but I just wanted to make your expectations realistic in as much as they're not always around and about. But if we're lucky, we will, but there'll be plenty of other things to see and do. Just a few more scenes of the Cotswold landscape. That is a terrible photo of the Broadway Tower, and I will remove it and change it if we do this again. That area behind the tower is called the Vale of Evesham, and it is actually the centre of the British asparagus growing industry. So it's we are coming into next week is the start of the asparagus. St George's Day is the start of the asparagus season. So any of you coming in early summer will have fresh asparagus, no doubt. We will see lots and lots of beautiful thatched cottages, and such as the one in the middle. The big picture on the left is one of our groups in the beautiful village of Lower Slaughter, which I look forward to telling you all about. It's absolutely stunning. And the bottom right-hand picture is Hidcote Gardens again, but a different time of year, just to demonstrate that that's tulips in the front, so that must have been fairly early in the season. So just colour all the way round, and look forward to introducing it all to you. That's pretty much my presentation. This is actually the picture out of my back window. We get some stunning sunsets. So hopefully that is what we can see. So that was a very, very quick, well, 35 minute run through of the tour. And I would be delighted to take any questions. And let's see if I can.
Now, so let's get to some questions. So let's
Yes.
talk about footwear. So do we really need a good hiking boot or a comfortable walking shoe? Will that do?
Yeah, comfortable walking shoe will be absolutely fine. Just be conscious. A good waterproof walking shoe will be no problem at all.
Waterproof. Great. Thank you for that.
Certainly in the spring and the autumn, summertime, sports shoes, trainers, whatever you call them, will be fine. Just be conscious that you need something waterproof if it's a bit of a damp day, or there's a heavy dew in the morning kind of thing.
All right. Thank you. Now, if it is raining, are there going to be umbrellas available? Should I have a rain suit of some kind?
Yes, we do carry umbrellas. So if we think it's going to be a bit drizzly or a bit inclement, we do have umbrellas available. But I would recommend a decent waterproof jacket, lightweight waterproof jacket, would be absolutely fine. And if it's really, really horrible, we're going to do something inside and more pleasant.
Great. Thank you so much. So, speaking of inside, one of our guests notes that there's only one building tour listed. It's the library at Oxford, the Bodleian. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but do you go inside that library? And are there other venues in Oxford that we can go inside and visit?
So we actually do a walking tour of about an hour and a half to 2 hours, which will give you an outside view of the colleges. We don't specifically go into any of the buildings, but if you are there earlier, then yes, the Bodleian, good go at that, Rob. The Bodleian Library is incredibly famous and beautiful. Some of you may have seen it in the Harry Potter movies because it was used in that. And also a number of the colleges allow free entrance. The Bodleian has sort of staggered levels of tours, ranging from just going into one of their most spectacular rooms called the Divinity School, but it also does half hour, 1 hour, and 90-minute tours that takes you. The 90-minute tour takes you right into the famous round building in the middle of Oxford called the Radcliffe Camera. So camera means room, a bit like the French chambre for bedroom. So camera is like room. And if you are arriving in Oxford early, then I would highly recommend getting onto one of those tours. And the concierge at the Randolph, if you're staying there, would be only too happy to make those arrangements for you, I'm sure. Or just go onto the Bodleian website and Google Bodleian tickets. It will bring it all straight up for you. Bodleian, Bodleian, named after Thomas Bodley. The architecture is absolutely stunning. But sadly, on our tour, we don't have time. But if you are arriving Sunday or Monday, then please use Tuesday to go and explore Oxford. It's well worth it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. So, if we are inside these buildings, can we take photographs inside? Is that okay?
Inside the Bodleian, I think particularly the oldest part of the library, I think the answer would be a no. Clearly they will direct you to their gift shop, or images that are on the internet. Mostly because a lot of these areas are kept specifically fairly dark, if you like, because the light averse to not affect the books. The Bodleian, they're not all kept in Oxford, but every single piece of printed literature in Britain has to send a copy to the Bodleian Library. So it has millions and millions of books. It's quite outstanding, quite staggering. But yeah, not on the inside, and certainly no flash photography.
Great. Thank you for addressing that, Andy. So that food that you showed us, it looks marvelous. It looks like we're going to eat great when we come there. Should we be dressing up for dinner?
Generally, in the evenings, smart casual is absolutely acceptable. Collared shirts and slacks, and maybe presentable. Probably no t-shirts and flip-flops and stuff like that. So, what you would normally wear to a smart restaurant. Jackets are not required anywhere we're going, so it's not that formal. We will. Some of the time it's tricky for us guides to get back and change before dinner, yeah, mostly smart casual, if that's a expression you use in the States.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So, if I have specific dietary needs, if I'm a vegetarian or if I am gluten free, am I going to have
Yeah.
any issues eating?
Absolutely not. We work with the people we work with are incredibly professional. We brief all of the restaurants and cafes ahead of time where we're going, so they will make a special effort to deal with it. So whether it's I won't go into all the different options, because that's for everyone to decide. But no, we've had no issues thus far.
Great. Thank you so much. So, if I arrive early, is there early check-in at the Randolph?
I think I would suggest that, like most reasonably sized hotels, is they will endeavour to accommodate. Depends on how busy they were the night before. Like any major hotel, they've got to do, depending on how many room changes they've got to do. There's definitely luggage storage at the Randolph. That's not a problem. Concierge there are excellent. It's a very professional hotel. I wouldn't want to stick my neck out and say, oh yeah, it's not going to be a problem. But realistically, they will endeavour to do whatever they can. Yeah, I couldn't guarantee it. So I would have to. I think maybe I would suggest referring yourself back to the NatHab desk team to see if they can put an early arrival message through. I imagine they do that already, because most of you come in early morning, mid-morning, so we're in Oxford by lunchtime. So I'm sure they're working hard to do whatever they can.
Great, thank you. So, if I'm going to stay late and I wanted to rent a car at the Lord of the Manor, is that something I could do, or would I have to make separate arrangements?
I would be inclined to make arrangements ahead of time, only because um, the Lords of the Manor is relatively in the middle of nowhere. Well, it's in the middle of everywhere, but in the middle of nowhere. So I wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't leave it to chance, only because of what is around and about. It may be that, depending on where the car, well, I guess some car rental businesses will bring the car to the hotel. Others may ask you to travel to them, and if on the departure day we can facilitate that, we'll try and help. One thing I didn't mention is there is generally one departure from the hotel back to Heathrow. So if anyone is travelling later in the day and they want to make their own arrangements, that's absolutely fine. But I think within the NatHab, um, um, I don't want to use the word contract. Within the NatHab arrangements, there's one departure.
Great, thank you, Andy. So, are we going to have to worry about high elevation at all while we're out there
Uh,
walking?
yes, the highest point in the Cotswolds is a whole 728 feet above sea level.
Gotcha. So, no worries about elevation.
No,
Good to know.
none at all. Yeah, we're at sea. We're pretty much at sea level here. Um, yeah, so I think it's 253 meters, which is 700 feet. Yeah, we're at sea level here. So no, there'll be no noticeable change in atmosphere.
Great. So, for those of us who love flowers, are
Yeah.
there a better time of year to come and see flowers? Can you tell us about anything about the flowers that are blooming now?
Um, the simple answer is spring and summer are absolutely stunning. We're going from the early annuals at the moment, so we've been through the daffodil phase. The most beautiful thing that is around and about for the early tours this year will be the bluebell woods. We have a purple flower called the bluebell, which carpets the floors of the woodland, and it is like having a purple carpet to walk through. It's absolutely stunning, and we'll try and if they're out, we'll try and stop somewhere and actually enjoy those. I think it's unique to Britain, which is very unusual, but it is absolutely stunning. We then move into the perennials. So when around and about through the gardens, at the moment it's the blossom, which is absolutely beautiful. It's quite early this year, but it'll be around for a few more weeks yet, and then we go into the summer flowering season. So absolutely no problems in terms of having colour. And then as we go into autumn, we get all the autumn colours as well. So there will be always something to see.
So let's talk about our electronic devices for a second. Now, if
Yep.
I need to plug something in to charge it, do I need to bring a special adapter for the electricity?
Yes, you need a square 3-pin plug adapter for a 240-volt plug hole. Yes. So, do you want me to try? So, I don't know if that's in front of my camera. So this is our plug. It's a square thing, and you will need to purchase at a travel shop in the airport or similar something to plug your 2.2 pin or small 3-pin plugs into. Yes, that's a good point on. I'll add that into the next presentation. Yes, please bring the relevant adapter. The other thing is in the UK, all the light switches and all the plug points turn on downwards. So you turn on the plug point downwards to get the power coming in. A lot of people will go to bed and turn the plug upwards so it's off, and then wonder why they haven't charged their devices in the morning because they've actually turned the plug off at the wall. So ours tend to turn on downwards. We can give a little red bar on top of the plug so you can see that it's on. It's just I have no idea why, but yeah, when we walk into the room, we press the button down, and when you walk into an American room, you tend to lift the switch up. Um, no idea why that is like it is, but it's just something to be um, um, aware of. And we can get into the hundred other food differences where you know biscuits are cookies and chips are crisps and crisps are fries and goodness knows what else. And biscuits are scones and la la la. So there's all these different food things. We will have lots of fun discovering.
It does sound like a good time, Andy. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, that will be the last question that we do have time for today. So I'd like to hand it back to you for any closing comments you have for us.
No, I'm thrilled to actually do this with you this evening. Hopefully, there's a few people there listening. I can't see from my end, but otherwise, hopefully, this will be available to future visitors. And it's this is a very different kind of NatHab tour to a lot of the big expeditions, but it's also one of the most beautiful in a very tranquil and gentle way. And I've lived here 25 years. I have no desire to go anyone else. And um, professionally, I just love showing people around my home part of the world. So I look forward to meeting you, and I will be standing at Terminal 2 at Heathrow at about 9:30 on Sunday morning, welcoming in our first guest of the year.
All right, Andy, thank you again for taking the
Pleasure.
time. And I'd also
Super.
like to thank everyone who tuned in today. Now, if you are interested in information on how you can travel with NatHab, please give us a call or you can send us an email at info@nathab.com. Our adventure specialists are happy to help you out. Join us tomorrow for our next daily dose of nature. You can check out this week's lineup, including registration links, on our website at nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, I will conclude today's webinar. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time.